What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I will be reviewing Cruella, which stars Emma Stone and Emma Thompson, and tells the story of Estella, a woman with a tragic past who has always dreamed of being a fashion designer, and when she gets the opportunity to work for the Baroness, played by Thompson, she slowly finds herself urging to one-up her, gain that kind of power, and descend into becoming the famed Disney villain, Cruella de Vil. Now, when this film was being advertised and when it was announced that it was coming out, a lot of people didn't really know what to make of it, because this film isn't exactly a remake, and we'll get more into that later. A lot of people didn't really know what to think of it. Some people just downright did not care about this movie at all. A lot of people were very excited for it, and I was fortunately one of those people. I was out of my mind excited for this movie, and not just because of the casting of Emma Stone, although yeah, I think that is perfect casting, and that is also something we will be talking about in a moment, but there was just something about the look that I was seeing in the trailers, even though the way the trailers were edited and displayed was very generic and, very Disney-esque, very reminiscent of a lot of their other trailers for their other recent live-action efforts. There was something about the look and the cinematography, the costume design, that I could see was not being represented accurately in those trailers. And so one of the reasons I was so excited was because I was confident that there was a edgier tone here that was not coming through in the trailers. And as I said, this isn't exactly a remake. It's still a live-action Disney film, and it will probably be thrown in to the same category as the other Disney live-action remakes, but it's not a remake. Seriously, do not go into this movie thinking it is a remake. It actually takes an origin story approach to this character, and it follows her from when she was a little girl into adulthood, how she tries to achieve her dreams and certain things she does, and that was another reason I was very excited for it. I loved the idea of getting an origin story for this villain. And guys, I am so happy to tell you that Cruella is one of the best Disney live-action films ever made. In fact, when thrown into the same category as, all these Disney live-action efforts and endeavors of the past 10 years, this actually might be my favorite. You know how I said I could kind of see through the trailers that there was something else here, that there was this unique tone and look that I could tell was trying to get through in the trailers? The movie succeeds at that tremendously. This film is so beautifully shot. It has a very unique tone and feel and style to it when compared to other Disney films. It definitely stands out, and that's one of the things I truly loved about this film. And a lot of that has to go to the direction. This is a very well directed movie. Now, a big part of this movie is fashion design and, innovative looks and being creative, and the whole, the main character, Estella, her dream is literally to be a fashion designer. So how is the costume design? Costume design is a big part of that when your movie is about fashion design. The costume design has to be top-notch. The costume design in this film is immaculate. It is so well done. These costumes are beautiful. Along with the sets, the colors pop off the screen. Again, a lot of that has to go to the gorgeous cinematography. The way they captured these costumes and the set design, it really honored the work of these costume and set designers. It really showed, look, these people are talented, and we are going to portray that in the most beautiful way possible, visually. Now, as I said, when they announced that Emma Stone was going to be playing Estella, alter ego Cruella, I was very excited about that. But I was also kind of worried that her performance wasn't really going to meet my expectations. Not only did it meet my expectations, it exceeded my expectations. Emma Stone is fantastic as this character. And yes, I do tend to associate the Cruella character with Glenn Close, who played her in the live-action 101 Dalmatians film. But after seeing Cruella, Glenn Close, she gave a very cartoony portrayal of Cruella, which, is definitely what they were going for. But Emma Stone's portrayal of Cruella is actually beautifully tragic. And as I said, this is an origin story. And Emma Stone's a great actress. We already know that Emma Stone is a great actress. She's won Oscars and all of that. We know that she's a great actress, but when it came to portraying someone who slowly is descending into madness, who is once just a little girl who didn't fit in with big dreams, who grows up, achieves those dreams, and then slowly descends into becoming Cruella de Vil, when it comes to that, I wasn't 100% confident that she could do it, because she hasn't really played a character like that before. However, she blew it out of the water. Her performance and her work as this character is truly great. And the same can be said for Emma Thompson, who is already more like Cruella de Vil, at least what we perceive Cruella de Vil as. Emma Thompson in this movie is more Cruella de Vil than Emma Stone is for the majority of it. And I really like that because you saw the Baroness who is portrayed by Emma Thompson. You see her and you can kind of see how Estella is looking up to the Baroness. And you see who the Baroness is and the stuff that it is implied that she has done and some of the stuff that she actually does is really messed up and kind of disturbing. And so when you see the Baroness and you start to recognize that Estella is looking up to the Baroness, you actually start to get kind of scared because you do sympathize with Estella and you're starting to see her slowly become more and more broken and, descending into this path towards evil. And so you actually start to just feel kind of bad for her. It did kind of remind me of what Joker did. You sympathized with Arthur Fleck, and then as he started to go down this path of violence and evil, you started to not so much sympathize with him. You started to actually more or less become scared of that character. This movie is nowhere near as dark or as violent or as mature as Joker, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was used as kind of an inspiration here. The only difference with that here is that I remain sympathetic towards Cruella even when she started doing these evil things, which, you can form opinions about me of a person based on that if you want, or you can just watch the movie for yourself and see what I'm talking about. It's actually very impressive that they were able to do that, because it is something that a lot of people have been talking about. How are you going to make me sympathize with someone who skins dogs and makes coats out of them? As messed up as it is, guys, they did it. Now, I did just hint at this, but this movie is PG-13, which I was excited for, but I was also excited about the live-action Mulan being PG-13, and then that movie ended up being terrible. Yeah, I never reviewed the live-action Mulan. It sucked. I hated it. I despise it. It might be my least favorite Disney live-action remake. But I was excited before Mulan, the live-action Mulan came out, when they said it was PG-13, because that's a story that warrants that rating. If you're going to put that into live action, there are battle sequences, sword fights, there's going to be blood and violence in that story. And then there was nothing in the live action Mulan. Nothing at all. It was very, very disappointing. I was excited that Disney was saying that they were taking a more mature route, and they just didn't. With Cruella fulfills what I wanted Mulan to fulfill. It fulfills that desire in that Disney said that the movie was going to be PG-13 and that it was going to be more mature. And the difference between Cruella and Mulan is that Mulan it didn't keep that promise. And Cruella absolutely did. There are scenes in this movie that I could see younger children being disturbed by, being bothered by. I could see parents taking their kids to this movie thinking that it's going to be a family-friendly Disney adventure, and being very upset at some of the implications in this film. There are some legitimately disturbing implications. Now, I'm 16 years old, and there were a couple things in this movie that actually kind of disturbed me. I was like, oh, wow, you actually went there. And I just loved that about this movie. It didn't hold back. Now, there's not any on-screen blood, not a lot anyway. There's death in this movie, but there's not on-screen violent murders and kills. It's just that, compared to other Disney films, and taking into account what you expect from Disney, it's surprising. Some of the content that is in this movie. And it just made it all the better for me. Take any story out there, any story that deals with subject matter that could also be well done in a darker way, and put darker things in it, and tell me that it does not automatically get better. Tell me that it doesn't get better. Seriously. It's one of my biggest positives with this movie. By having it have darker themes and dark implications and implied violence and things like that, it makes you kind of lean forward and get a little bit more intrigued because you feel like you're watching a more mature film. You know, not just a film made by Disney for kids that you can just sit down and have fun with, although the film is quite fun. It's pretty mature, and it gets pretty mature, and it's not afraid to get somewhat disturbing. Now, as I said, they do a good job of making you sympathetic towards Estella, and I really liked what they did with her character and with the Cruella persona. See, in the original, she was Cruella de Vil. But in this origin story, her name is Estella. Her given name is not Cruella. They decided to make it an alter ego. And I thought that was brilliant. You know, you have Estella, and she has these dreams, and she's trying to achieve them, but she's always had this side of her that was a little bit more sinister, and she refers to this side of her as Cruella. And then, you know, the movie is about her fully embracing that side of her, and it becomes her alter ego. And I thought that was brilliant. Like, that is such a great idea, and that's a really interesting direction to take this character, and I thought they pulled it off. The film is very exciting. It has a brilliant pace to it, and like I said, a lot of that has to go to the direction. It's a very fast-paced film. I was never bored once while watching it, and that's just all too rare in film nowadays. There's some also very, very well done crowd-pleasing moments of satisfaction that just... it just fulfilled desires I had while I was watching this movie. Like, there were things that I was like, please just do this. I know it's Disney, but please, can you please just go there? And then they do go there, and it was very, very satisfying. In regards to issues with the film, even though Estella, or Cruella, whichever you want to call her at this point, even though Estella is a very well-developed character, and I love the way that they executed the arc of her becoming Cruella and embracing that alter ego, when it comes to the two other friends that she has in this movie, which are basically her henchmen towards the end, I felt that they were very, very underdeveloped. They're kind of there just to be the comic relief, you know? Because if they weren't there, this movie would have been pretty much only kind of disturbing and kind of mean-spirited in a way. So I get that they wanted to add the comic relief, but I'm not against giving character development to comic relief characters. You know what, it actually might make their humor a little more funny because I will feel like I care about them and I know the people. And there just wasn't really any development given to them. Now, one of them does start to become concerned about Estella embracing the Cruella alter ego. But there's never really any resolve there, and it just kind of ends there. And I thought that it could have used more development. Also, and this is kind of a nitpick, but there is some pretty noticeable CGI animals in this movie. I get that in certain sequences, they couldn't get real dogs to do some of these things. However, it was just very noticeable to me. I don't know what the budget was behind this, but this is a Disney production, and I just kind of am taken aback by the fact that some of the CG didn't look better. And I would say for the first half of this movie, it's fairly predictable. Now, there are some things that I predicted that would happen, but it didn't bother me because I wanted those things to happen. That didn't bother me. There were just certain things dramatically where you can kind of see where it's going. And another small little nitpick with the third act that I have is there's a moment in the third act of this movie that I feel like a lot of people are not going to know what to make of it. It really worked for me, even though it does kind of push the boundaries of suspension of disbelief. It was a scene that reminded me that I was watching a Disney movie, essentially, which I guess I can't really take off points for a Disney movie being a Disney movie. It's just that the rest of the film was so refreshingly unique when compared to a lot of other recent Disney films that when that one moment happened, it was awesome, and it was very well done, and it was really like kind of a triumphant moment, and I was like, yes, that's cool. It's just when it comes to logic, when it comes to the movie logic aspect of it, it felt like it kind of just pushed the boundaries of suspension of disbelief almost too far, even though I loved the moment. Now, I talked about certain aspects of the movie being very predictable. However, there is a twist in this film, and I'm not even going to hint at what it is because it legitimately did shock me. And it's not a twist just for the sake of shock value. When you go back and watch the movie, it actually makes sense and almost makes it better. It's a very well done twist, it makes sense, and there's not really any plot holes with it. It genuinely shocked me. So guys, in the end, Cruella was actually a very, very nice surprise, and it might be my favorite live-action Disney film of recent years, probably the past decade, to be completely honest. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, whoa, dude, seriously? When I give this film the grade that I plan on giving it? But I don't know, man. It's just, I just appreciated how unique and sort of amusingly mean-spirited this movie was. I don't know, there's just something very, like, appealing about it. I don't know, I'm just drawn to these types of things. And I cannot tell, side note, I cannot tell you how much I want to cosplay Cruella now. That might be something I start doing. Keep an eye on my Instagram. So yeah, guys, Cruella. I genuinely kind of loved this movie, as surprising as that may be. And I'm going to give Cruella an A-. Disney, do more things like this with your live-action endeavors. Please. Just go for it, man. Now that we've seen a movie where you went for it and it actually worked, do it. Keep doing it. You have found something new. You have found something unique. Roll with it, man. Thanks so much for watching, guys. It really does mean a lot. Look forward to my review of Raya and the Last Dragon coming very soon. I'll see you in that video, and until then, keep writing, keep shooting, and keep editing.